Good morning. Excuse me. This is Laura with Potpourri of Life. Another Sunday reflection day. It's been an interesting week. I have not watched the news. As many of you know, we don't receive the reception for news. When they went electronic or digital, whatever it was, we have a regular antenna and we stopped getting the news. I was disappointed at that time because I didn't understand, news should be free for us. You have your antenna, you have your TV. No, it's not anymore. Everything costs money in today's world. Kind of sad. But hey, they have to run their business. The digital people, they have to make their money. What was really interesting, when I was homeschooling the girls, the cable company came out to our home. And they noticed that we had an antenna, and they said, "You don't have any cable wiring to your house." I said, "No." I said, "We don't need it." And they said, "But it would provide you with so many services." I said, "Nope, we don't need it." And he didn't know I homeschooled or anything. That wasn't the issue. But he was trying to make a sale. And he said to me, he says, "I think that you would enjoy having cable." I said, "Oh, I'm sure I would." But I said, "It is not in our budget. I don't need it because it's a distraction." He says, "No." He says, "You get news, you get sports." I said, "I don't want sports." Now, I don't begrudge people who enjoy football. My husband likes football, but he doesn't gravitate to it. Now, if he's at somebody else's house and they're watching football, or we find that there's a football game going on and he wants to go and watch it with our neighbor or something like that, I don't care. Go. It's not a big deal to me if he wants to do that. It's no different than if he wants to go hunting or if he wants to go fishing without me. Because sometimes we need a getaway. We need to do something on our own. I like spending time out in the garden. Sometimes when I'm writing, I like that time alone. So if he comes in and I'm writing and he hears me clicking away at the keyboard, I give him that look, "Yeah." And he goes, "Oh, you're busy." I said, "Yeah. But what do you need?" See, writing, I'm available unless I leave. And I sometimes do that. Gardening's out in the backyard. And that's a little bit more free spirit, like where, I'm more relaxed out in the garden. But we have things, what my point is, we have things that take us away from our joint relationship of always being around each other. And we have things that make us happy. But there are things that don't make us happy. And it's this world. So as this cable person was trying to convince us to get this, he was going to give me a good deal. I said, no. I said, first of all, right now I'm not working. I was homeschooling a girl, so I wasn't working. I had started up my sewing business, so I really didn't have time for cable. I didn't have time at all because homeschooling was a full-time job. Running my sewing business was a full-time job. At that time, I was directing a children's choir. That was like a full-time job because I prepped during the week. We did a bunch of stuff. It was exciting stuff. And I said, "We really don't need it." So I said, "You're knocking on the wrong door here." He said, "I'll tell you what. I will give you a month of cable for free." I said, "But I don't need it." He goes, "No, I'm going to set you up for a free month of cable. At the end of the month, you let us know if you want to keep it or not." Now, I knew that I wasn't going to keep it. And I told him, I said, "I will probably not keep it." He goes, "I think you will change your mind." I said, "Fine, you want to give me something free that I don't want, that will be kind of like a treat for my girls and ourselves?" I said, "You do that." Well, let me tell you, How many of you guys watch TV all the time when you're home? That's what happened. I loved HGTV. Is that it? HDTV or HGTV? Whatever. Oh my goodness, I couldn't get enough of it. We would watch all kinds of animals, nature shows. They were all educational things that we would watch. The girls chose things that they really enjoyed. It was really mind-boggling of how much information we got from this free service. We liked it. But I noticed within 2 weeks, the girls were getting their homeschool done. I was getting stuff done, but not to the level that we were before. And so I called them before the 1 month was up. I said, we want to cancel this. We won't use this service. And they were like, but why? I said, they want to know, weren't the channels good? And I said, yeah, the channels were great. We got the news. We did this. We did that. And I said, it's wonderful. But what it did was it stole the core values of our family. They go, what do you mean? I said, the girls didn't spend as much time in their studies. My girls still went and read books and stuff, but they read less because there were shows they wanted to watch. I said, I'm getting nothing done. Absolutely nothing. I said, I'm getting their homeschool stuff done. I'm doing their work. I was doing what had to be done, but not the other things that brought me joy. Because I got sucked in. We all got sucked in. And so I told them no. So I canceled it. It was on record that I canceled. We still had that cable service for 3 months for free. And they once sent us a bill. I said, no, you don't understand. I said I would do a trial. I called before the 1 month was up and told you we were not going to subscribe to this. I called. You have it on record that I called. And they looked, yep, you did. So we'll have somebody out there and canceling it. Seriously. 3 months we had free cable. When it ended, we were all like, oh, darn. Because we did enjoy it. All right. Now, my point is, there's a lot of things in life that are enjoyable. And there's a lot of things that we get trapped into. Things that we get trapped into believing that's outside God's desire for us. Now, I'm not implying that I'm a perfect person. Please do not read into that. I try really hard to give God the glory. I even shared to David yesterday. I said, you are aware my first king is God, Jesus Christ, right? He goes, oh yeah. I said, but you're my earthly king. Now, those of you who hear that and say, well, that's kind of, derogatory to yourself. No, it's not. God desires us to put our spouse first. He does not desire our spouse to abuse us. He wants our spouse to honor us. And that's how our relationship is built. We've been married a long time. We've had trials. But what makes our relationship work is that we communicate, but we put God first, and then we put each other second. It's easy to do. And I kind of like it that way. My husband does not abuse me. He's had hard times. I don't abuse him, and I've had hard times. So we kind of get grumpy when those hard times come because we're trying to work through those challenges. I have challenges today. Some are health challenges that there are days I cry and I just can't deal with it anymore. But where I was going with this cable, the evil forces come at us in beautiful colors, in wonderful ways. But the evil comes in to scare us. So when the world events began, in the last, it's been almost 2.5 years? We were all afraid, like, what is going to happen with this thing? I participated, and I did it with joy. I did it with a servant attitude, and I was exhausted because my body can't work that hard, but I did it because I had a mission to serve others who were serving. The number of masks I made were, I won't even mention the numbers. It's irrelevant. And then I sold some. Some people bought them graciously and had no problem. And at that time, I would leave the masks in the box. They would come and leave the money. I've had people come and I watched them and they'd walk away and they didn't pay. I'm like, okay, I guess they needed them. I've had people yell at me, people I didn't know, that said that I'm taking advantage of a horrible situation. No, I wasn't. They were taking advantage of me by expecting me to give to them in addition, when the reason I was selling them was to offset the cost. Now, I had a few wonderful people that helped me procure the material I needed. I got $50 from one, a couple hundred from another. So I had a couple $100 to work with. It was a blessing because I was very specific on the type of materials that I wanted to use. And some people gave me material that it was stretch material or it wasn't proper. I can't use that type fabric. So I did all that, and yet I got yelled at by people who they wanted it free. Now, in reference to the cable, I didn't want it. I told them I don't want it. What has changed with people? It hasn't changed. It's gotten worse. I noticed it in my sewing business for a number of years. I had people that they understood my rates, they paid it, they understood my skill, and they wanted to pay for the talent that I had. They would come and they would listen to me and they'd say, oh yeah. And then I had people that, no, they wanted the cheapest person. They wanted me to take shortcuts. I won't do that. Stuff like that. Now, I don't have a problem with somebody ask me, Laura, how much would it cost to do this? And I tell them. And if they decided, no, that's not for them, maybe it doesn't work in their budget. Maybe it doesn't make sense, because I've had a few men, most especially, men are interesting. Some men will say, no, it's not worth it, I can get it new. True. My husband and I do the same thing. If we can get it new, why pay to have something repaired? It depends on what it is. And our clothing gets worn out. So these men that said, well, I can get it for this price versus the cost of the repair. I said, I know. I said, you do what you need to do. And then you have other men who can't find what they're looking for, and so they will pay for that repair. Men put value in their stuff a little bit differently. I mean, not all. Men and women, there's personalities on all spectrums. But when it comes to a wedding gown, it doesn't matter to me whether or not you wanted me to work for you. I took great joy. I took great pride. Not pride in me, but pride in my work. Because when I worked on people's garments, I prayed for that person. I prayed that I would honor God through every stitch that I did. It was an honor to be given a gift that could create something that people were blessed with. Oh my gosh, I had fabulous clients. I've had a few favorites. One that I've had for over 10 years. I did some bridal replications onto 16-inch fashion dolls, and we did that for her daughters and her grandchildren and stuff. Oh my gosh, it was a blessing working with her. Sweet, sweet lady. And then I had a few brides that were just like priceless. You couldn't ask for better. And, I took great joy in that. And as time went on, when I got Lyme disease and I had to cut back, I couldn't function. I was lucky that I got up and got into the shower. That's how horrible this disease took me down. And so I was no longer working at the hospital. I stopped my sewing business and I stopped functioning, and I was working with my Lyme doctor to get better. So I came back slowly, and I was still dabbling in it, but I wasn't promoting myself because I couldn't. So, but what I discovered, the world was changing, and there's nothing wrong with that. So I lost a lot of clients. Some of them still came back, but I lost some clients. And one of the things that came back was somebody says, "You're the most expensive in this area." I said, "I've been around a long time." And I said, "I know how well my work is, and you will get the quality that we talk about." And so I started getting that from people. And so I turned people away. I honestly did. And I had to. Because as I healed from Lyme disease, I learned that I no longer could afford the energy being zapped from me, because I needed the energy to continue the healing process. Now, I know a lot of people who have had Lyme and they got it healed within a few months because they went on antibiotics, because they caught it right away. Mine wasn't caught right away. And then I had other instances with my health. And if you've never heard the spoon theory, I'll do a video on that. Let's just say we start out with so many spoons a day. I would use them all up by the time I finished my shower. So I had to start saying no. But I'm that person that wants to continue to give. I want to do this. And so I started trying to figure out, God, why do I keep giving and getting hurt in return? Now, there is nothing wrong with what I do. I give gifts. When I give to others my whole being, when I work for them, I give it all. When I do things for others, I do what God has instructed us to do. Give without expecting anything in return. That's what we're supposed to do. But God does not say to be a doormat. It is okay to say no. It is okay to walk away. Jesus did that. When it wasn't right, you can say no. God also desires us to all work. Oh, goodness. I love the book of Proverbs, the chapter 31. I love that chapter. That's kind of like a guide for me. Because even if I'm home serving my husband or serving my children when they were home, making things for them and repairing their clothes or doing whatever, that's a godly wife. I didn't realize I was doing that until I started really digging deep into this scripture. And I'm going to ask you, most especially you women, to kind of look at it and kind of take a look at what it says. But where I'm going with all this stuff, the cable, and bringing it all into where I'm going. Right now, we've gone from a world of fear a world of meanness. Do you know the biggest disease that we have encountered was a disease of hate, unkindness, and meanness? We all have a brain. We all have the right to choose, the right to make decisions, the right to wear a covering or not. But we don't have the right to mock, to belittle, or to tell somebody, I hope you die. Because whether they wear a covering or get a treatment, people need to make choices based on their belief system, their values, and how their body responds to stuff. But we have people judging everybody. We're still getting it, but it's that part settling down. And now, we have food shortages. And we have people fear-mongering across the internet. Part of the reason that I'm doing a YouTube channel is because I want to share some things that I do and I take joy in doing. I love, and I've been preserving food since the time I met my husband. When I moved to Maine, I learned how to make jams and jellies, and then I started doing other things because that's what his family does. His family's from Maine. My granny used to preserve things, so when we visited her out in Missouri, it was a joy to go visit her. Because you know what she did? She prepared cookies before we got there. She would have jars of peaches, apples, all this stuff. It was like, ooh, I didn't know where she stored this until one day when I was a teenager. I said, Granny, you always have a different batch of cookies on the table. Do you stay up at night and bake cookies for us? And that's when I learned her secret. She goes, no. She says, I bake for a few months before you come out and I freeze it. So when you come out to visit, there's a different treat for you each day. She was a godly woman. She was a treasure to me. She inspired me. I miss her. I didn't think I would get this emotional today. So here you get the authentic me. She loved God. And she knew what was going on in my life as a child. There was nothing she could do. She was out in Missouri. And that's for another story. But she loved her grandchildren, her daughter, so much that she would work to have food ready, specialty items. Now, some people don't understand the value of a canned item. Homemade can, they fear, but they trust the food on the shelves. And yet the foods on the shelves have changed over time. That's the other reason I like to preserve. And so I am so grateful to my granny. I'm grateful for my grandma. She took all the calories out of the cookies she made. Trust me. I asked her one day, because as a teenager, we don't want to gain any weight, and we're all trying to keep our figures or whatever, and weight was a factor when I was growing up. My dad was like keen on, Laura, you're gaining weight type of thing. But I asked my grandma one day, I said, well, how many calories are in this? And she goes, there is none. I said, what do you mean there's no calories? She goes, I take them out and then I bake the cookies. I was dating my husband at that time. He just burst. We burst, laughed. Sorry, I said that wrong. We both burst out laughing because it was like she as well baked with love. And she didn't have time to worry about the calories because she was given in love. God was good to me. I had 2 incredible grandmothers. And then when we moved to Maine, David's family, the women in the family, I went and picked blueberries with them, and I learned how to make blueberry jam, strawberry jam. One of David's aunts, his Aunt Nancy, she's no longer with us. I spent a day with her. Wow, what a busy woman. I never saw a woman. I mean, I can do a lot of things where I used to be able to do a lot of things, a multitask beyond recognition. This woman couldn't keep up with her. And yet his other aunts were like that too. His Aunt Shirley, she farmed. She worked with her husband. She did this. His family believes in work, hard work. I don't believe they were wealthy people, but they were wealthy in the fact that they worked hard, and their perseverance and what they did and still do, put food on their table, paid for their mortgage, paid for their cars. That's what we're missing in this world, is the hard perseverance, taking pride without complaint. So today, I'm reflecting on all the fear mongers, and I've shared this before, that are saying, you have to do this, you have to do this. You have to do what is right for you, what works within your budget, what works with what's in your heart. If you have no desire to put fresh food up, to have a garden, maybe you don't even have the room for a garden, then do what's right. If you can go to a farmer's market, you can do that. But remember to put that food up, otherwise you have to compost it. That's a waste of money. I am not saying that the canned goods on the shelves are bad. Completely. Please read your labels. Be aware of what is in your food. The reason I like fresh produce, food from the farm, food from the farmer, is because it's whole. It's wholesome. There's no fillers in it. So what you eat, when you're done, you are full. My husband and I have a serving, and we don't need to go back, except when I'm stressed. That happened during the pandemic. It's like, oh my gosh. So I ate well, but I ate too much. So now we're back to things are really good. We're doing really well. I want to bring something up, okay? It's Sunday. I can bring scripture in. It's my channel. I can read a scripture anytime I want. So a lot of people are doing fear-mongering. They're telling you to do this. Buy this because you're going to need it. Now, nobody is saying to buy a freeze dryer. I want one, but I can't afford one. So today what I'm doing is, one of the things that's on my dehydrator is I took peas out and they're dehydrating because I'm trying to reduce what's in the freezer. So if there is a blackout in our area, we won't lose much food because our generator, my husband hasn't had a chance to get it fixed. He's worked on it and we haven't gotten it fixed yet. So he keeps trying. We're not there yet. So I have to be proactive. I have to work to get that done. So in saying that, I just want to remind all of us, and I say this a lot, this is in Matthew 24, verse 42. Therefore, be on alert, for you do not know which day your Lord is coming. But be sure of this, that if the head of the house had known at what time of the night the thief was coming, he would have been on alert and would have not allowed his house to be broken into. That was verse 43. Verse 44. For this reason you also must be ready. For the Son of Man is coming at an hour when you do not think he will. A lot of people are saying end times are here. We have people that are saying, well, I don't have to prepare. God's always told us to prepare. You can read various stories from the old to new. Prepare your home. Prepare your heart. Have on hand what you need. Now, if God comes tomorrow and the peas that I just dehydrated are on the shelf, I don't need them, I still did my job of not allowing those peas to go bad if our electricity went out. I suppose we could eat peas. I could heat them up. Those who know me know I like peas, but I'm not really that fond of them because it was two 2-pound bags I took out. Yeah, I'm not going to eat that many peas in one setting. And as I've gotten older, I've gotten more liking to them. So it's been a hard week for me as I've turned a lot of them off, but there's a few that I'm still listening to, and I'm kind of like trying to understand. The devil comes at us in beautiful colors, in beautiful products that will be good for you. What we need to be on the lookout for is what is true, what is authentic, and what is real. We need to be able to see beyond the sales pitch of the cable. Dave and I have been without cable for years. We have been without a lot of stuff for years. We don't go on vacation. It's not in our budget. We had planned a vacation 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. Couldn't go. The world shut down. So we redid our living room. And I like it because you know what? A vacation lasts a week, 2 weeks, right? My living room still looks nice 2 years later. Last year, same thing. So we redid our kitchen. So no vacations, but we are gifted with talent, so we could do this a lot on our own. So I'm going to close by saying that be on the lookout. Oops, I think I messed that up. I was pushing something back because I need to, I'm so sorry I did that to you. I put it up so that we can get a good view, so I have a few books that I put it on. We're still working on a way for me to do my videos so it's not so whatever. My daughter says that sometimes my videos come out with a sound effect, so hopefully we can get that resolved. But I want you to know that God loves you, and it's up to us to honor Him through our work. So I'm going to say goodbye here, and I'm going to say God bless you, and I hope you have a beautiful day.